Hey Bears, welcome to our first den meeting here in May. I'm always your den leader, Sheldon. Let's go ahead and stand up for our Pledge of Allegiance, Scout Oath, and Scout Law.
All right. Scout salute. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. 2. Please join me in the Scout sign and repeat the Scout Oath. On my honor, I will do my best to do my duty to God and my country and to obey the Scout law, to help other people at all times, to keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. Please join me in the Scout law. A Scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. 2.
Hey Bears, in today's scouting session, we're gonna go over fishing regulations with the DNR and how we can set up our fishing poles using our tackle box and what kind of fish we can catch right here in Minnesota.
Hi, my name is State Conservation Officer Cassie Block with the Minnesota DNR. Today I wanted to talk to you guys briefly about some of the basic rules about fishing in the state of Minnesota. Fishing in Minnesota is a very popular pastime, and it's important to make sure we read our reg books annually to make sure that we are up to date on the current rules for that season. Some of the things I would like to talk about today are possession limits. In the middle of the book here, it will list out all of the lakes that have special regulations on them, so you can know wherever you are what the rules are for that lake. It's important to follow these rules as it helps protect the fishery and preserve fishing for generations to come.
It's important to know for people new getting into the sport of angling is that if you're under the age of 16, you do not need a fishing license. But if you're over 16 and 17-year-olds can buy a fishing license for $5. And you can buy a fishing license at our MNDNR website, or you can go to a gas station like Holiday or Cabela's and buy a fishing license that way. During open water, during summer months, you can only fish with one line. During hard water, during ice fishing, you can have 2 lines. So
the last thing I would like to talk to you about today is safety. Please make sure you are safe whenever you go out into the outdoors. Whether that means you're on a boat, bring a life jacket. Remember, safety first and safety last.
if you have any questions, feel free to go on to the DNR website or contact your local conservation officer.
Hey Scouts, now that we go ahead and we went and learned about all those awesome regulations we have to do it before we go fishing, now let's go ahead and set up our fishing pole and look at a tackle box. So what I have set up is I have my pole ready to have some lines and some different stuff put on it. But I took out some things in my tackle box and we're gonna open it all the way up. I have some hooks right here that have some special stuff on it so we can get certain types of fish. But let's go ahead and open up my tackle box and see what's inside. So whenever I open up my tackle box, I always open it up all the way because I have so many cool stuff inside of here and I may be looking for something that's at the bottom. But the first thing I always have on top, of course, is a flashlight. Now this is a simple flashlight because also it's a headlamp I can wrap around my head in case I'm fishing at night. But it's really good just to hold on to with one hand and you can still see what you're looking for. Also on top of my fishing box, I have a knife in case I need to cut a line. And of course, as every good fisherman needs before they go fishing, I got some Band-Aids because we always do get little hooks in our skin sometimes. But as I open it up, I've got lots of different things. And one thing you might notice is that some of my fishing lines have little teeny tiny corks on them. And I do this because some of my hooks here have no bag for them. So what I like to do is I like to take a cork and I find out where that really sharp hook is, and I'll take my cork and I'll put it on top of that hook. So now when I put it back in my tackle box, I know it's in a nice safe space, and if I go digging around for it, I won't get that finger prick. Also in my tackle box, what some people don't know, is I have this big guy right here. This guy is actually meant so if a fish accidentally swallows a hook, I can put this inside of its mouth. I'm not gonna put it in my mouth because that'd be a little gross. I can put it inside of its mouth, grab that hook, push it down, and then out so I can get it out so hopefully the fish will survive longer, so make me that good old food, or if I want to let it go. There's so many cool things you can have inside of a tackle box, and also make sure you have different varieties of things because depending on what you're fishing, depends on what you need. But I want to get my fishing pole set up so I can go fishing today, so why don't you come over and join me so you can see how we can set up a fishing pole. Alright scouts, now that we went through our tackle box and we're ready to set up my fishing pole here, moved over to this side, it's a little bit more cleaner over here. So I strung my line through, I'm going to string it through our last 2 hoops over here. Alright, now I have my line ready. Now I always like to start with the hook because I have bobbers in here that I don't need a real string through, they just kind of hook on either side of it. And my weights only pinch, so I really don't need to do those first. I always like to do my hook first. Now I'm going to use this one right here, a really colorful one that's already got a cork on it, simply because I want to go trolling a little bit later in my boat and I want to kind of see what I can catch. Maybe I can catch a northern with this nice good prize over here. So I'm going to string this through. And while I'm tying this knot, let's go ahead and head over to Den Leader Ben, and he's going to show us how you can tie a knot on your fishing pole, a little bit bigger of a piece of string.
All right, Bear, so we learned a little bit earlier about a 2-half hitch knot, but now I'm going to teach you another knot that you might use when you go fishing. It's called the fisherman's knot. All right, so I'm going to start with looping my rope over itself probably 3, maybe 4 times. And then I'm going to take that end and pass it through the first loop I made, and then finally take that end and go through the loop that created that second time, and then take it and pull it nice and tight. And that's a way that you can tie a fishing knot.
Wow, thanks Ben for that. And remember, this is called a fisherman's knot that we tied on the end of our hook here. So we always have this excess line right here, or at least I do, because I like having a little bit of extra room. So I take my knife inside my tackle box, fling it out, get a little bit of room left on my knot. I like a little bit of space. Cut it, and I know my knot's nice and steady. So now that I have my line on there, my hook on there, I'm gonna get some weights on it as well. This is actually a pretty heavy one, so I definitely don't need a lot of weights, just a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and pinch my weights on. And now I put on my bobber. So my bobber, I know I'm gonna be kind of trolling in the water, so I need to have this a little bit deep. So what I do with my open reel here is I flip it open by pushing this forward. I let a little bit of line come out. I'm going to close my reel, pull it in a little bit, make it nice and tight. Now again, my hook is on the bottom of the floor right now, but I'm going to take my bobber right here. And if I push this end up without pushing the middle, the hook shows itself and I line it through. And then I push it again, but this time pushing on that middle hook. Hook comes on the bottom, so I wrap that around. Now my bobber's on there, it's gonna move through. Now what I like to do, before I even go out fishing, is I'll take it and make that bobber really tight against my pole here. I'll grab this, or hold that, and then, once I've got all of my fishing poles set up, I go ahead and head over to my friends. Let's go see what my friends are fishing. Hey guys.
How's it going, Sheldon?
Hey Sheldon.
Good. I see you got your guys' poles ready. I've got mine ready. Are we ready to go fishing?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but I'm kind of noticing that Annie has a different kind of pole than us.
Yeah, yours and mine kind of look the same, but hers is a little bit different. You know kind of what they're called or why they are different?
Yeah, so I know this one is called an open reel fishing pole. And that's because right here we can see the fishing line and we can kind of open it up when we want to, right? So it's very open. This one's really good, especially if you want to fish. If you notice right now, I'm actually holding the fishing line with my finger. I know a lot of people do this when they fish because they can feel the fish nibble on your line a little bit better. Annie, what's yours called?
Mine's a closed reel. We can't see the reel, and it casts just a little bit differently.
Yeah, so Ben already has his casted. I think Annie, why don't you go ahead and cast yours first so we can see how we can cast yours, and then I'll cast mine here.
Awesome, so I'll show you how to cast on a closed reel. First, I'm gonna move away from my friends so I don't hurt them. I'm gonna pull it back, and it's got a little button on the bottom, and as soon as I go forward, release with the button, and then I can tighten with my reel. So that's a closed reel. What's yours, Sheldon?
So like I said before, mine's an open reel. It's a bit different. Instead of having a button, I just flip this up. So I go ahead and I flip this up, and you see I'm already holding my fishing line with my finger because you had a button stop. My button stop is my finger right here. So I go ahead and I go back. And then once I'm ready to go ahead and reel it in, instead of flipping this back, what's really cool is I just push this forward and it closes automatically. I can reel it in where I want it, where I can see my bobber. Yeah. Well, now that we're all kind of cast out, we're just kind of waiting. Let's see if anything, you guys think we're gonna get anything?
I'm not sure, but I'm excited to find out.
Yeah, let's watch our bobbers. Guys, I think I have something.
Look
All right, it's coming in.
Oh, what is it gonna be? What is it gonna be? What is it gonna
See
be?
what I got.
Oh,
You got a
whoa,
fish.
What is
I
that?
got a fish.
What kind of fish is that?
So, looks like I have a walleye here.
What do you know about the walleyes, Annie?
Yeah, so walleye is actually the Minnesota state fish, and it's native to Minnesota, so that's pretty cool. And their habitats, they love shallow lakes with rocky shores, and they only come out at dusk and dawn because their eyes are super sensitive to the light. So when they come out at dusk and dawn, they feed on other small fish, like perch.
Awesome.
Yeah, and you can tell that it's a walleye by looking at its dorsal fin. Its dorsal fin has a black spot on it, and its tail fin has a white spot.
All right, so far we've caught a walleye. Let's see if we can't catch anything else, guys.
I think I got a bite.
Look!
I think I got one.
Whoa, that's awesome, Ben.
that's big.
Whoa, that is a big fish.
Yeah, so this is, I think it's a bluegill. Annie, do you know anything about a bluegill fish?
Yeah, so bluegills are actually the most common sunfish in Minnesota, and it's in over 65% of our lakes. Now bluegill, they like to live in big open waters, but sometimes they prefer to have weeds to hide in from predators. Bluegills, if you can see, have a small mouth, so they only eat little bugs and other invertebrates. You can tell that it's a bluegill by looking at the black spot on its fin here, and then the bluish tint to its gills.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, so I've got a fish, you got a fish. Sheldon, I wonder if you're gonna get one.
I don't know. We'll have to keep waiting to find out. I got one too! I got one too!
I can't wait to see what kind of fish it is.
It's a tough one. Whoa, guys, look at this one. I think this one is called a northern pike.
Yeah, northern pike, Sheldon. So northern pike are really cool because they're the fastest growing freshwater fish, and they can live for more than 20 years.
Whoa!
Yeah, so they prefer to live in rivers, ponds, anything with slow moving water and lots of vegetation. And a really cool thing is they can eat anything up to a third in its body length.
Wow.
So other fish, and even things like frogs and ducks, and so many different things. So you can identify a northern by seeing its long, slender body. It's got little white specks on it, and its dorsal fin is really close to its tail. And it's also kind of slimy, so it helps it move really fast through the water.
Wow, Andy, I noticed our first fish and our third fish both eat other fish.
Yeah, walleye and northern pike have bigger mouths, bigger bodies, they can eat other fish, but our bluegill has a small mouth, so it can only eat bugs.
Awesome. Well, we definitely caught 3 fish today. We definitely had a lot of fun doing. We talked about how we can be safe while we fish with the rules, how we set up our poles, and how we cast different types of reels as well. So I definitely think thank you, Bears, for joining us today. And make sure when you go fishing, you follow the rules. Make sure you set up your pole and tackle box correctly, and always have fun fishing. Thank you, Bears. Wow, that was a really awesome fishing adventure, but I want all my bears to remember that you can catch some fish such as crappies, catfish, sunfish, perch, and a bullhead at any time. Such fish as walleye, northern pike, and bass, however, are only called game fish. Now those game fish can only be caught during certain times of the year, so make sure you check with your DNR office to make sure they're in season. Now, part of this adventure is for you yourself to go out fishing, so make sure you talk to your parent or guardian, let them know where you're gonna go fishing, who you're gonna go fishing with, and what kind of fish you might catch. So, set up your tackle boxes, set up your poles, and head on out for at least an hour and have an amazing time fishing.